Another day means more teasers. I feel like teaser season is slowly upon us now. With the fact is that we're getting new spells teased. Well, not really new spells, more of spell revamps, of course. Now, we've had dev streams in the past, or where they just talk about certain spells that got changed. Of course, we talked about Rusalka on the channel and how that's being changed. And there's other stuff that's being changed as well, which they've mentioned. Definitely watch the previous videos on the channel where I talked about shadow packs and how certain spells got changed. But this is one of those videos where, hey, more stuff got changed. And the two spells that did get changed that they are mentioning and that was shown the other day was Donate Shadow and Dark Surge. Those are completely revamped and they're completely different than what we know them as currently in Wiz. So we'll talk a little bit about that and give you guys my thoughts and opinions. I'm definitely looking forward to these spells, and I have a lot of takes when it comes to them as well. So if you go to Velma, of course, Velma gives you a variety of shad spells. And the first one I'm going to be talking about is Donate Shad. Donate Shadow, what it currently does in game, as you guys see. Donate Shadow gives one shadow pip to a player slash target, whoever you're targeting, right? The caveat of this spell, 75 accuracy, and it's 2 shad pips. Nobody was using this. I really can't think of a reason why we'd ever use this, and how shad rating works too. I never trained this. I'm be honest, never did. Shad rating has been abysmal, and I've talked about it in YouTube shorts. I've talked about it in streams. I've talked about it in videos, even with the whole shadow pack system. They really need to revamp the shad pip rating system, especially in PvE. If they're like, they're very cautious about it when it comes to like advanced combat, because advanced combat is mixed with PvP players that do stuff in the arena, as well as the people who are doing raids and challenge mode. Kind of sucks that they're like intertwined, because whenever one thing gets changed for PvP, it affects the raids, it affects challenge mode. If one spell gets changed for raids and challenge mode, it affects PvP players as well. So there's like some things when it comes to that. But when it comes to Donate Shadow, nobody uses it. Now, the new Donate Shadow, what it is now it's only going to cost 1 shad pip, and they got rid of it being 75 accuracy. So now it's 100% accuracy, which honestly, it should have been by default. I mean, this is casting, well, this requires you to have 2 shad pips. Now the new one only requires 1 shad pip and it's 100% accuracy. Hey, I mean, that's a buff. Well, I mean, we'll take it. Everything else still remains about the spell. It's still 120 locked. And the writing, they adjusted it now. So now it actually has a shad pip icon. Instead of it saying shadow pip, now they're actually using icons to represent that. So very nice to see, I guess. I mean, hey, it is a buff, but I will talk a little bit more about that. So we'll have to see when it comes to that. Now, the next spell that got changed, which some people don't understand the writing of, I kind of get a gist of it just by staring at it, which is Dark Surge. Now, let's go over what Dark Surge does currently in game. Now, Dark Surge, what it currently does is it costs a shad pip, 100% accuracy, and it gives 2 power pips to friend or yourself. Honestly, they should be using this icon more. Side note real quick, on the Donate Shad writing, where it says target, they should just put like a smiley face next to it. I don't know why they don't. They should, yeah, they should update the writing. But anyways, Dark Surge, yeah, so it gives 2 power pips to the target, whatnot, right? And everyone knows, especially if you're a PvP player and you're doing max PV right now, you guys use Dark Surge like no tomorrow. There's people who pack max Dark Surges. There's even people who use a deck that, I don't think I have one on me, but there's like a deck that gives Dark Surge as well. And people really like using it for PvP for tempo purposes. And when it comes to advanced combat for raids, challenge modes, there's only one fight where I've actually ever used this, and that was when Loon Knight. When we did Loon Knight, and it was the first iteration. Obviously, this was before the whole Megaton cheese and everything like that. When people were actually, doing the consistent fights, people were using Dark Surge. At least we were, when it came to the first iteration. Obviously we didn't know much of the cheats and multiple fights, and we used this in Loon Knight to kind of like manipulate some pips and such. Beyond that, I don't think I've ever used it in another challenge mode. At least I can't think of it on top of my head. I mean, you guys let me know in the comments down below if you used it in any of your challenge mode runs or any of your raid runs or something like that. But I just can't think of it right now. I think we maybe in a Polaris raid. I generally don't remember it, because obviously I'm just recording this in the moment. But first thing that comes to my mind is literally just that one fight. But anyways, Dark Surge is completely getting changed, and there's a punishment in it as well. So the new Dark Surge reads as told. I'm gonna read it to you. You guys will see it on screen, and I'm gonna explain it. So give +1 chromatic school pip and +1 weaving school pip, then you proceed to lose 10% of your max HP on self. Now, looking at that, I've heard, I've gotten some feedback in the Discord and stuff like that, and some people didn't understand what the writing meant. I'm hoping that they tweak this just slightly. I don't know exactly what they would tweak. It's already a long writing, as it already says, but they could tweak it in some sort of way. If you guys have made it this far into the video, just wanted to remind you guys that 75% of you guys that watch me on a daily basis are not subscribed. So do me a huge favor and subscribe. We're on that grind to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. All right, now let's get back into the rest of the video. So the first part where it says chromatic pip, now not everyone knows what chromatic means, but chromatic it just gives you a something regarding the person's target school. So let's say I use Dark Surge on myself. Now obviously I'm on my storm right now, so it would give me a storm pip because hey, storm, right? I'm casting this on myself, so I'm getting a storm pip. Now the second part of the card reads +1 weaving pip. Now I am currently weaved into myth, right, because I've been testing some stuff, but what would happen is when I use Dark Surge, I would get a storm pip because I'm on my storm, and the second part would give me a myth pip. So I would get a storm pip and a myth pip from this Dark Surge, which is very interesting. Then after that, the card reads you lose 10% of your max HP. Now I know someone's gonna beg the question, what if I use this on my friend, right? Let's say I have the Shad pip and I want to give my ally a Dark Surge and I want to cast it on them. So let's say your friend is a life that's weaved into ice, for example. Let's just use that as an example. Now I cast Dark Surge on them, they would get a life pip and an ice pip because they're a life wizard and they're weaved into ice. Then I will proceed to lose 10% of my max HP, not the person that receives it. Obviously, if it was the person that received it, you can definitely do some troll capabilities, but it means 10% max HP on self because I am the person that's casting it. My ally is the one that's receiving the reward, which is the school pip and the weaving pip. Well, it's not really a weaving pip, all right? I know that's not the correct terminology, but you get what I mean. It's giving you a pip based upon your weaving school. So life pip and ice pip because that's who I casted it on. I'm just saying weaving pip because that's how it looks like when you're looking at the writing. I know some people probably thinking like, oh, does that mean we're getting weaving pip? No, it literally just means school pips. I just try and preface that you're getting a school pip. Now, I did ask some fellow people in the community, in my Discord, as well as I did message some people and wanted to see their opinions. And a lot of people were telling me that they might not even pack this anymore for when it comes to PvP. Now, obviously, this is just early thought process, right? People are just looking at it right now. We don't know what it's going to like completely feel like in test realm whenever test realm does happen. But I've seen people say that they're not going to pack this anymore because the fact is you lose 10% of your max HP. I don't know, that's a pretty fair argument. And then the other thing is, a lot of people are saying that they're just going to switch to using more dark packs. They're going to switch to more people using empowers instead, which I can see happening. So we'll have to see when it comes to that for PvP players. Now, if we're taking PvP and putting it to the side, what about for casual play? What about for raids? What about for challenge mode? Now, surprisingly, which not many people know this, but unless you've been like pretty active in my community, I have been asking for something like this, surprisingly. The reason being is whenever you want to use the new Dark Surge, or just an example, right? It is very good in certain fights because getting a school pip is not the easiest task in the world, because when it comes to raids and challenge mode, you have this thing called power orb efficiency. The more cards you have in your deck, right, the efficiency goes up, and of course your Archmaster stat plays a part, of course, depending on the enemy you're facing, and you want to build up that percentage to be able to get a school pip. Now, if you're rocking a 7-card deck, for example, right, now they made it a little bit more harder because what people would do is just fill up their deck with Monstrology, and that would increase your orb efficiency. But they banned these cards, so now it doesn't increase your orb efficiency, which what people were doing for raids and stuff in challenge mode. There's obviously other ways to still do it, but when it comes to this now, Dark Surge has a viability, because if you really want to use a school pip spell, let's just say, I don't know, we cooked up a strat, Almond, we need to use Catch of the Day, but my deck size is like 7 cards or whatnot, right? And I'm like, hey, if can one of the supports that are rocking a full Shad build use Dark Surge, give me a school pip, now I can cast Catch of the Day. This is just an example, right? I can see it being pretty viable, but the argument still stands, which I've mentioned multiple times. Hey, this is cool. I've been asking for being able to like give someone a we school pip. You know, we did have TCs. I do want to point this out too. We do have TCs. Where is it? I think I got rid of mine, possibly. Okay, I couldn't find the card. But anyways, we had these TCs come out during the raid, which is school supplies. You get a random school pip on whoever you cast it. It does cost a bounce pip, or you know, you just need 2 pips, bounce pip, bounce mastery, whatever. But anyways, it gives you a random school pip. I didn't really like this just because the randomness factor. You can't really target what you want. Dark Surge is just better in the fact that it will give you what you have. It will, whatever school you are, whatever you're weaved into, you'll get those 2 school pips. It's like a guarantee, you know what I mean? But that's more of random. School supplies is random. Now, school supplies doesn't require a Shad pip. The new Dark Surge does. Now, the one thing I don't like currently in Wizard101, which I voiced my opinion about, I like, cool, Shad changes. Hey, you know, we're getting all these changes a lot of people are looking forward to. They need to look at the stat. They need to look at the stat, and it's a very important thing that I need to mention, I need to voice, and I need other people to voice their opinion on this too. Shad pip rating is not consistent. I have done multiple tests. I've had a person that's rocked full Shad pip builds. I've had a person that's rocked 1-piece Shad. And there's been times where the person that isn't even rocking a Shad build, just having normal, you know, PvE stats, and they'll be out shadding an ally that has max Shad rating. When I mean max Shad rating, I don't mean like literally the max stat, but they're rocking every single piece that they're wearing gives Shad. And then on top of that, they would be rocking triangle jewels that give more Shads, like to increase their rating. And the fact is, if someone's doing that, they're going out their way, dropping their power pips, dropping other stats to fully take on this Shad pip rating build to its max capability, and they're still not getting a Shad, and they're, you know, they're getting out shadded by an ally that doesn't even have a Shad, like really doesn't even have Shad pip builds. There's something obviously wrong with this stat. So personally, I think, yes, keep doing all these Shad changes. I like the idea of Dark Surge. I like the idea of Donate Shad, but I will truly only actually like them even more if the Shad rating pip or Shad pip rating stat is looked into, and KI has given like an announcement or some sort of feedback of them saying, hey, we're going to look into it. Hey, we're going to be trying different things. On test room, we're going to be trying this. Like, I would like to see that feedback from them, and then I will actually start using all these things, like all these fusion stuff with Shads and stuff like that. I know a lot of people are excited, some people aren't, and that's completely valid. But my thing is, I don't want to dive too much into the system and, you know, be really intrigued if my Shad pip rating is just completely not a consistent thing that I can just see go up and down, right? That's just my take on these spells. But like, if we're just looking at the base spell, let's say Shad rating is completely like fixed, and you know, it's a consistent thing, then of course Dark Surge, very good for PvE stuff, very good for well, I want a PvE, maybe, well, maybe it depends. If it's like a fight where you can't get school pips, maybe. But for specifically like raids and advanced content, like you know, challenge modes and such, or rematches, or certain rematches at least, Dark Surge is good. It is exactly what I wanted. But the caveat is like losing those, you know, 10% of your max HP. That's fine. But the fact is, we're getting a, you know, a card that will give you a school pip that is based on your school and your weaving school. That's good. That is just my honest take on these spells. But first comes first, which is, will they look at Shad pip rating? Will that be looked into? That is my honest opinion. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these spells. Will you be using them? And what you guys' thoughts are on the whole Shad pip rating system. because I feel like that's where this all stems from. You know, if the shad pip rating system is looked into, you know, we get like semi-consistent shads, then of course all this shad stuff that they're releasing, the shadow packs, the dark surge changes, donate shadow, I will actually have a reason to use them. But if my shad pips are not semi-consistent, or we don't know the actual percentages, you know, I'm not, you know, we can get something sort of consistent. Till then, I'm just not going to use that. I'm not going to use the spells. And that's just my honest take. But that is it for me. Leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. More teasers eventually, I hope. Judging by this, we'll probably be getting more teasers soon, just by getting a vibe of how content's been going and how they've been like teasing stuff left, right, and center. It's expected at this point. But that is it for me, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.